Star Wars already has one superhero director coming over to direct one of their films. So maybe another. Or maybe it's a series. Maybe it doesn't even exist. Welcome everybody to the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thank you for joining us today. It is the last day of February, which means spring is around the corner. Things are going to be warming up. Things are going to be blooming. Positivity, good vibes, hopefully. And that's what we want to bring to you here today on this episode, because we're going to give our takes on the latest in Star Wars news, answer some of your questions, and have a good time. And with me, as always, is James and Lacey. What's going on? How we doing? James, what is that? Is that one of your Grogu shirts?
Goku.
Yep. Groku. Yeah.
Goku.
We should have a
Nice.
crossover shirt where it's like him with ears.
Yes.
Or the other way around, Grogu with the hair.
Yeah, like Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Like
Fieri.
it actually says that on the shirt. I forgot it said that on the shirt. I was gonna say his last name is Sun, so you could play with like Grogu or like child Grogu, son Goku.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you do the
Works.
twin sons.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot you can do.
There they are.
Yeah, a lot of crossovers happening.
Yep,
You're
for
welcome, Star Wars and
So by the
Dragon
way,
Ball?
follow up from last week's episode, I did get a text message from my sister basically calling me an idiot.
Yep, that
So
happened.
if anybody was wondering if that happened, she literally texted me and was like, did you really think that your birthday was special and happened the next day? So thanks for watching, Matt, or listening and letting her know.
More you know. Yeah. So, Lacey, how you doing? Other than, are you
I'm
ready
good.
to learn anything today?
No, I'm sad that, February's come and gone because it's like the big birthday month for my family. Like everybody's
Yeah.
birthday's in February. But we're getting closer and closer to celebration. We're now almost basically 2.5 months away.
Less than
So-
3. Yeah, that's it's
Hopefully
coming.
we hear something soon.
Right. Yeah.
Anything.
Hopefully we get some updates and just even just some sort of a, hey, we just want to let everyone know that it is 100% happening. One of those
What?
things.
Yeah,
if they put on the
otherwise, we're
website-
just going to Disneyland.
What if they
I
put on the
guess.
website,
Yeah.
celebrate good times next year?
But it's got to be
Next
done
year.
with a but the
Yeah.
background music's got to be a recorder, like
Yeah.
out of tune recorder.
Exactly.
So like the Star Wars Celebration becomes like the avatar of conventions. It's just like, yeah, we'll just add another year to the calendar and
never
we'll see it
ending.
then. And
Yeah.
because I
It's
believe
actually
it was supposed to be 2020. It was supposed to be August 2020 was supposed to be that second.
It's like
next
Repop has
celebration.
actually sold the company to James Cameron.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Well, we do have some stories to get into. Not a lot of official news aside from some video game stuff, but it's still going to be some cool stuff to talk about. So, James, why don't you steer us through those and let's get this going.
It's the Resistance.
All right, this week we got some interesting news when it comes to particularly this first story about Kenobi and the possibility of Palpatine being involved somehow. Now, that may seem kind of obvious, but it may be something that's kind of a surprise or whatever. But we're kind of getting this information from the actor himself, Ian McDiarmid, doing an interview and being asked about certain things, and he specifically says, I don't necessarily think I'm done because Rey destroyed me and killed me. I'm kind of paraphrasing all this, but there's all sorts of other content that's coming out that happens before I die, like Kenobi, for instance. And I think he even specifically in the quote says, keep an eye on that show kind of thing. And so everybody just kind of runs with it as like, that's him teasing the possibility of him showing up in the show, which I don't disagree with that. So I think it's a good story to run. It seems very clear that he's hinting at something, and it just seems to make perfect sense. John, what was your take on your favorite guy coming back?
Well, the thing about McDiarmid is he has never minced words that he will play Palpatine for as long as they'll have him. He has said that at every convention he was at. It's not one of those situations where an actor is coy about it or feels like, I've done that. That's in the past. He's like, you got a spot for me. I'll sit in the makeup chair and we'll make this thing happen. He loves playing Palpatine. And, I like that because he is an artiste type of actor, theater trained, classically trained. So he could have that sort of snootiness if you wanted to, saying like, that's, popcorn stuff. I'm above that. I just did that for the paychecks, for the Rolex, for the fancy cars and stuff.
We will pay you one Rolex.
Yeah. But no, he's always been down. So hearing him say this, that's not the surprising part. Now, this is from a few months ago. It just kind of started making the rounds in social media circles and in places like that. But the fact that I don't think this is him saying, I might be in Kenobi. I think this is him sort of saying like, listen, yeah, I get it. I died this time. She took me out. I'm done. It's over. The show's over. But they're doing more prequel type stuff. Look at Vader coming back and he died. So if he can come back, I can also still come back in older stories. Palpatine somehow returned, but not in the way that upsets people via GIFs on social media. So I think this is him kind of saying like, there's always, as long as they're telling these stories that go back, there's always an opportunity for me to get back in the mix. I don't think it's like him saying like, I might be in Kenobi. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean he's not going to be in Kenobi. I think it would be brilliant if he had a 2-minute hologram message to Vader or something like that. Andor, get him in there. Like, why not? He's the head of the operation, and that operation is at its prime peak of operation during the times of the Kenobi show, Solo, Andor, that whole in between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. So it would make a lot of sense. I know he'd always be down. So this would just come down to them saying, we don't want the Emperor in this show. So they seem to like bringing back the Emperor. So I think there's a good chance we may see him pop up in one of these. So, I'd be down for it. So anytime I hear an actor who still loves being a part of Star Wars, that's also a plus for me as a fan of that person. So we'll see. But I don't think this is him teasing anything necessarily. I think it's him saying, look, there's possibilities. So I'm down if they're down.
Well, good job paying a little closer attention to how he worded it, because I did kind of take it as him saying, hey, that Obi-Wan, wink, wink, kind of thing. Lacey, what were your thoughts reading this? Did you get the impression as well that he was hinting at Obi-Wan Kenobi specifically, or being a little bit more broad and using that as the example?
James, I have several thoughts. My first thought is, how did John get through that without saying Shivi babes once?
Wow.
Not once. And I feel like people at home are like waiting for it, and it never happened. So I'm so sorry for those people. Second of all, John, this brings a really good quote to mind from The Last Jedi. No one's ever really gone.
Oh my God. Do we all have least favorite quote?
So I just wanted to bring that up because like clearly they were telling us in The Last Jedi. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So the way I feel is like the joking Poe Dameron thing, where he's like, somehow Palpatine returned. And it's like that meme that everybody uses of him like sighing and looking down. That's how I feel about this. I get he's the Emperor. I get he's the big bad. It's just kind of like, my feeling is, why do we keep going back to the same character? But at the same time, I'm the person that loves Luke Skywalker, so I should just shut up. So
like they're making a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's just I have my own personal hatred for him, which means he did a really good job playing this character. So again, Lacey, shut up. I do love though that he said ungrateful granddaughter. That's such like a theater person thing to do. Like he throws in that extra word. And I love how he did say like, look, I'm dead. Like I got annihilated. Like that there's quote, no coming back.
You're right.
That.
His quote is like delicious. How he says it.
I just love how he says ungrateful, because like, you could just kind of hear him saying it, like my ungrateful granddaughter, and you're like, oh my God, he's
my
eating
annihilation
this up.
was finally final.
Yeah, I can say that right now. He says, is that truly the end of him now, though? And his quote is, I think I have to accept that thanks to my ungrateful granddaughter, my annihilation was finally final. But, of course, Darth Vader is back in the new show Obi-Wan Kenobi television series, so I suppose it's not impossible that one day his mentor might be discovered once again sulking in the shadows.
Skulking.
I
mean, he could be sulking as well.
Like Bulkin skulking.
He might be upset that, he's in the background all the time, but skulking. Yeah. I thought it was a great quote. I thought he played it really well. He loves playing into the audience. All the times I've seen him at cons when he does panels and stuff, he feeds off the energy of the audience. I mean, how many times have people, including myself, posted the video of, Roll It Again from the last celebration, how much he loved that moment and just fed into it. So it's great to see him talking about Star Wars. I do hope he does get seen again, not because of Palpatine, because he's a great actor and a great person. I don't like Palpatine. We all know this. So I'm not excited to see him again, but I'm excited for the actor himself.
Yeah. And it's got to be that sort of like that rock star type of thing, movie star type of thing for someone like him. Because when he's at like the Royal Court Theater doing a performance after the show, he's probably like, "Oh, does anyone want my autograph or anything?" And people are like, "That was wonderful. Thank you. Bye." And when Star Wars fans are like, "Palpatine, I love you," and he's like, yes.
One of my, I did love the Roll It Again because I was right there when it happened. But my favorite memory of him was from Celebration 2015. He did a reading of the Palpatine monologue from like the Shakespeare Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Ian, I forget his last name. Ian Doescher. His like Shakespeare versions of Star Wars. He did that with Palpatine's monologue, and of course, because he's so classically trained, it was just like beautifully done, and it was like chilling how good it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love this. I think one thing that's interesting that it's funny you kind of brought that up, that no one's ever really gone, and that stigma behind like
I just know John hates that quote. That's why I keep bringing them.
I thought we killed off this character. Why are they bringing him back?
Yeah.
And one thing that I feel like fans need to learn, and then the other angle is like Lucasfilm needs to learn, is like it's okay to kill off characters when it's needed because the way Star Wars storytelling happens, we can go back. Like I don't mind that he died at a specific time, like say Return of the Jedi, like you didn't need to bring him back because you have Kenobi and Andor and all these other things where they could have facilitated that actor and brought him back and still continue to tell stories about, those types of characters. So it's kind of one of those things like Lucasfilm, be reminded that just because you kill off a character doesn't necessarily mean that that's the end of working with that actor or telling stories with that character. So don't be afraid to kill characters off and keep them dead, right? It will still have that impact. But also, fans, don't forget that even though a character dies in the story, we shouldn't go straight to, but they can always bring him back. Like, we should just be hoping and asking that they bring him back in a previous chronological story kind of thing. Like, I would rather, it's not going to happen, but I'd almost rather see, like, Ben Solo and Kylo Ren stuff that happened before he died and just leave him dead instead of like trying to figure out a way to bring him back kind of thing. Like that's just a weird example. And I don't know, maybe they do it right if they ever end up doing that or something, but there's very few occasions where I feel like it really worked out. I think probably the number one is Maul. Gotta be, like I think like bringing that character back when he's dead, ended up in some really great storytelling. But all that being said, it almost feels like Maul could have been like a criminal lord and underlord and then eventually became a Sith and then was killed, or whatever.
Right.
Like it almost feels like Maul's story all could have happened still before, but it's because they're not really touching that pre-Phantom Menace stuff, and they're going to get into it now, so it's kind of cool. Like maybe some of those earlier characters from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, like we might see those in earlier storytelling, instead of having to figure out a way to bring them back so that they can tell them like post Revenge of the Sith or something like that. But this is
Right.
great news. Yeah, I'm excited. And I think he shows up, but he makes sense to show up in both series. So they could almost like pull him in and just do a back-to-back. Like, hey, we got this scene for Kenobi and this scene for Andor. I mean, it's probably different directors or whatever, and they'll probably fly him in twice. But it makes sense. You know, if you're going to have the guy on site, just do it both at the same time and get it done, especially if you have the volume. You know, or if it's planned to be shot in the volume, maybe it makes more sense to fly him in, and then like the director can come in, you know, whatever.
Or
doesn't really matter.
Since they filmed Cassie or Andor in England, he just
that's a good point. Yeah,
took
that's
an Uber over.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Did an afternoon's work.
Yep. So that's cool. Looking forward to that. Next thing here is the John kind of mentioned early that there might be a new director in talks for some live action stuff. Now we recently on a previous episode talked about that like young High Republic show with the kids. And now since that story kind of was floating around, we're kind of getting another story that says it would likely be John Watts, the director from Spider-Man No Way Home, and not just No Way Home, actually all three of the Home trilogy Spider-Man movies. Which, by the way, I heard a fun fact. I thought it was kind of interesting. He's the first MCU director to do 3 movies, like 3 of a series.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And all 3 were pretty well received. But anyway, but that's his latest thing. And it kind of makes sense when you consider like those particular movies feel like they're working with kids and they were trying to do that like John Hughes thing. So if he learned anything from that and could bring that into Star Wars, he seems like a good pick. Lacey, what are your thoughts on the possibility of John Watts directing some Star Wars live action content, and maybe even specifically this like rumored Grammar Rodeo High Republic kids show?
Well, it is interesting because I feel like once again we're jumping to that, because this did really well, that director's clearly doing Star Wars. Now, they have fallen into that pattern, as we've seen with Patty Jenkins and with Taika Waititi, so I can't really say, like, hey, that's not the right way to go, but I feel like we talked about this, months ago, about how every time some new movie comes out that everybody loves, it's like, give them a Star War. That's what everybody says online. And I think he's kind of falling into that, but he does have, the track record to back it up with these 3 Spider-Man movies. They did really well. I still haven't seen the last one. I'll see it eventually.
I saw it last night, actually.
Oh, did you like it?
Did you know?
Let me tell you what happens.
I know what happens. I already have. People waited 2 seconds to put it online, so I already know what happens. I'll see it eventually.
So all that nonsense you gave me a couple of weeks ago was just a fugazi little bit. That's all.
But now that I've seen it, I can say, does any of that stuff happen?
I don't know. Anyway, so John Watts is busy a little bit because he's doing Fantastic Four, which is interesting because that project in itself has gone, touched. We have the old ones with Jessica Alba, then we had that new one which didn't do as well, Josh Trank, and now we have another one.
New one?
They're doing a Fantastic Four with John Watts.
I was making a joke on the old new one that didn't.
Oh yeah, the Josh Trank R.I.P. Boba Fett movie situation there. Yeah, so I get why this would be kind of a choice for people, that they'd be like, oh yes, he'd be perfect. And like James, you said it perfectly. I was thinking the same thing, kind of like that John Hughes, young Ferris Bueller vibe, Breakfast Club, stuff like that. So it makes sense if this is a Stranger Things in space that they would get the director that gives that kind of energy to his movies, to his characters. So it's interesting to see what happens. I don't know how I feel about this one, only because I feel like we immediately jump to the MCU people, but it's worked so far. And I think Disney likes to keep those people in house. Like once they have someone they like Taika Waititi, they're like, let's just keep him. Let's collect him into the group and never let him go anywhere. Which he's releasing stuff all the time that I'm like, how are you doing? Where are you finding the time? So it will be interesting. I'm all for it. I don't know how I feel about High Republic time, only because I haven't read the book, so I'm not like diving into that time period, but I feel like this might get me more interested. Not that the books aren't great, but I'm just more into the live action stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to participate when you feel like there's a world going on over there.
Right.
And it's not like big. So it's interesting to look at his filmography too, because this doesn't have anything to do with his ability, but I'm looking back here. He used to do a lot of music videos. Kind of interesting. He did some Fatboy Slim videos, Head Automatica, Beating Heart Baby video. He also did the Death Cab for Cutie, which is probably their most popular song, Soul Meets Body. That was him that directed that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I
feel like a lot of directors get starts in music videos and like
not
shorts.
like
and stuff.
this though. Like I know that is the case, but like he actually on his like IMDb has like a long, I wouldn't say long, like maybe like 10 very specific things that are like music video shorts, and it's like, oh wow. So like I don't know, I just don't commonly see that. And then this person just happened to go on to do like 3 Marvel movies, and all of them were like crazy fan.
Well, Spider-Man is, I would say, the most popular comic book character. Him and Batman.
Yeah, I think
Batman for sure.
Yeah, I think it's Batman, and then I think it's Spider-Man under that, and then Superman. But actually, I think maybe
I would agree with that.
Iron Man is like up there because Superman hasn't really had like a strong
Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr.
No,
I'm
sure.
saying over the course of time, it was definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I think it would be
John.
a smart what? I think it
He's
would be a smart
mumbling how he
choice.
doesn't like Spider-Man, so I'm telling him to shut up. Nobody
He's
cares.
a little nerd. He's a little weenie.
You're a weenie. Go ahead, James.
I agree with you. The only thing that bothers me about Spider-Man is sometimes he feels like he's too smart. That he's always like, how are we going to solve that? Oh, teleportation and cloning, like kind of thing. I guess Tony Stark figured out time travel.
Spider-Man is the best
movie.
character of all time. He is the GOAT of comic books, so everyone can.
Oh God, no.
Yes.
He might not even be top 5, but anyway.
Oh,
For
really?
you.
John, tell me more about your knowledge of comic books.
I mean, I know that Spider-Man's not the GOAT.
Who's number 3?
Wolverine? Yeah.
You said Spider-Man's not top 5, so what are your top 5 then?
That's it was going to be Batman and probably Superman second, right?
Yep.
So I said that's why I went for his 3.
Yep.
I don't know. Anyway,
Go ahead, James.
No, I mean, I'm going to say anything any other fan's going to say. John Watts did a great job on those three movies. I actually feel like I have more faith putting it into this High Republic kids show than I do Fantastic Four. I mean, I'm fine with him doing that, but like, I don't know that he would be the choice. It depends on how young they're going to go with those kids. And I'd hate to kind of put him into that category now as like, almost like I feel like, oh, can he handle adults? Like,
I'm pigeonhole
sure
him into kids movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he did this one thing and it was great. So they had him do it a second time and a third time. And then maybe that's why he got Fantastic Four, because that's the angle they're going for. Like start him young. And then we have these characters for a very long time. And then also too, now Lucasfilm is like, yes, do it again. So I'd hate to pigeonhole him. What I would like to see is like Fantastic Four be great. And then before he even gets to Star Wars, do like something, really
Not
different.
pop culture.
Really different and crazy, and it's like his own thing. And then when he comes over to
like Book of Henry,
I was actually gonna say, and please, and like let it be good, because if he does that own thing, his passion project before Star Wars, and it's not received well, he is not doing High Republic. I can guarantee you that.
Star Wars curse.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I say, at this point, more power to him. I hope it happens, and I think he's a good choice. We want to talk a little bit too about Lego Star Wars specifically. Whoa, John. I forgot you didn't talk because you had all those.
That's because his terrible takes about comic book heroes. We could just skip
No
him.
one's agreeing with you that Spider-Man's number 1.
Guys,
so in the comments, just let Lacey know that
Why do you
she's
think
wrong.
Spider-Man made more money than any Batman movie?
I don't think that's even true.
I think that probably is true.
Why is Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire listed as one of the top the superhero movie of all time?
Yeah, but also Lacey, Dark Knight.
Not on my list. Yeah.
I would say that people rate Spider-Man 2 over Dark Knight.
I don't think so.
God.
Easy.
Easy. I don't know.
Easy.
God.
I get that people really like Spider-Man 2, but I don't think that. I think like
I don't think you guys read enough top superhero movie countdown articles like I do.
On what site?
John.
Like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, gosh.
Well, let's
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. John, what are your
I'm
thoughts
putting up
on
a poll.
John Watts?
Yeah, it's interesting. So when I look back at him, like, I was like, how the hell did this guy get the first Spider-Man movie? And not only did he direct that, he wrote it. And his filmography, like, before that, and I get sometimes people, like, fall into luck and they find themselves in, like, amazing situations, and that's cool, but, man, what a risk to take on somebody who's had 2 movies prior. One was a horror-ish movie called Clown, and another that wasn't received that well. Another one called Cop Car with Kevin Bacon that was received well, but that's it. And then you get Spider-Man, and that goes to show, there's a lot of times this stuff happens where you get someone who's never directed before and they wind up being amazing. Like, look at Bryce Dallas Howard and what she's been doing with Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. So, he obviously did a great job with the Spider-Mans because they kept them around. So he did 3 of those. My only hesitation, and Lacey touched on this a little bit, is you're in the bubble of Marvel, which keeps churning out hits and successes, and maybe sometimes even in spite of a director. They're making these massive successful movies because of Kevin Feige, because of this, all of the crews that are involved and everything. It's just this force, this unit, these Marvel live action productions. And I'm sure on these 3 movies, he had a lot of the same crew with him. Whether, those are editors and just crew members up and down, cinematographers, obviously the same actors. So I have just a little trepidation because everyone's like, wow, he, great Spider-Man. Oh, he did so great. But if he steps back out of that, if you take away the Spider-Man movies, it's Clown and Cop Car, and you're like, what if his Star Wars are those and not Spider-Man? So, but I don't like, because of the example I gave, like Bryce Dallas Howard, someone could just come in and knock it out of the park and have the talent because they educated themselves and they grew up around it and they went to school for it, and maybe they grinded for years and years and years doing small projects, and it didn't mean they weren't good, or that because nobody saw them, they were cultivating their talent, and maybe he is great now, and maybe these experiences made him even better. So who's to say? But it's kind of like one of those situations where Patty Jenkins, people are like, Patty Jenkins, but it's like, yeah, but look what she did. She didn't really do much besides Wonder Woman, and then she makes the second Wonder Woman and people don't like it, and then it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
So the fact that he went 3 for 3 with Spider-Man, like if No Way Home stunk and Lucasfilm had announced him, obviously this is a rumor, but imagine a Lucasfilm announced him for something and then No Way Home stunk, then they're right back in that mess.
Yep.
But the fact that this is just rumored right now on top of a rumored show, we got to take that with a little pinch of cinnamon, as we do here. But if he is brought on, I think the confidence comes from the fact that, Feige doesn't seem to miss with these people. So it's definitely a vote of confidence without question. Now, the other thing I was thinking of, like, they keep talking about Kevin Feige making a movie. What if it winds up being a series that he's producing versus a movie? Like, a lot of this stuff is still in motion. We haven't heard about that Kevin Feige movie in a while. They said he had a writer, but again, this is going back to Lucasfilm, not really talking much about their projects. But everything about this rumored project sounds fun. I like the idea of the Goonies version of Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars in itself is sort of like a coming of age anyway. But if you get a group of kids doing it, that'd be a fresh take for Star Wars. It could be a lot of fun if they do it right and get good actors and especially good writers. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not ready to put a crown on the guy's head. But at the same time, I understand that you don't have to be Spielberg to come in and make a good Star Wars movie. No one knew who Irvin Kershner was when he took on Empire. And for a lot of people, including myself, that's the best Star Wars movie to date. So we'll see what happens. It'd be nice to get an announcement on this type of thing, because then we can really find out some more details and really sink our teeth into it. So maybe we could revisit it a bit down the line, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Lacey, did you pull up anything?
No, I'm just putting up my polls about Batman and Spider-Man.
Oh, you're putting up the poll. Okay. Yeah, I went to a couple sites and was looking around just before we moved to the other story. I found a couple where Dark Knight was higher than Spider-Man 2, and I found one where Spider-Man 2 was higher than Dark Knight. But on both polls specifically, including one was tomato meter, ranked by tomato meter. Both on both polls, the higher movie was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah. And actually on one of them, which was the tomato ranked, it was the number 1 ranked Spider-Man movie, or superhero movie across the board. 75 superhero movies listed. Number 2 was Incredibles, but number 1 was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, had a 97% Rotten Tomatoes.
It's running away with Lacey's poll.
Okay, first of all, if you look at the comments, it's interesting though. The comments are,
despite what I said,
not a
you
big
guys are
fan.
still going to argue.
Not a big fan
I'm
of
just saying that the
Spider-Man
data.
2, but people in the comments are saying that, like, not a fan of Spider-Man 2, but bigger fan of Spider-Man than Batman.
That's not the poll. And
I followed it
by
up
the
with
way.
which superhero is better. So we can go over this next time.
All right.
You did another poll. Which superhero is better?
Yeah, I want to genuinely know. Is it the superhero that you like more or the movie you like more?
Where's
or
that
does it
poll?
not matter?
I want that poll.
I already
she's
put it
saying-
up. It's up.
Oh, it is up?
Did you hide that from me? Am I blocked? Did you block me?
Why would I block you? Although
I
that
don't
would be
know. Why would-
hilarious if
why
I
would
did.
anybody
Why would I
block
block
me?
you? But yes, I blocked you.
Imagine I block John just till this poll's over, just so he can't vote.
Yeah.
And then you unblock me?
Or see the results so that you could
I
ultimately
really don't see
delete
that
the
poll,
tweet
so I think
and
I'm
then
blocked.
tell
You
him
are
fake
not
results.
blocked.
Is
Why
it
would
a
anybody
poll?
block
Is it?
me?
Can you comment a poll on a poll?
You
No,
can
you
reply.
You can't put a poll. Yeah, but you can't put a poll as a comment, right?
Right now, we're sitting at 74% Dark Knight, 26% Spider-Man 2, 65% Spider-Man, 35% Batman.
Oh, there's the poll. No, Batman's winning that too.
So that's all
John.
into the Spider-Verse.
Batman's
kicking in.
annihilating Spider-Man.
No, Dark Knight is annihilating Spider-Man.
No, but your character poll, Batman's crushing Spider-Man right
No,
now.
it's not. Spider-Man's winning 65%. What are you talking about? Which poll are
What
you
are
looking
we
at?
talking about?
Oh, I just refreshed it. Hold on,
Come
let me quote tweet that.
on, read.
So the Lego Star Wars game.
Yeah, so let's go on to
appears-
Legos. Speaking of
Yeah.
superheroes, Legos.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars appears at IGN Fan Fest. New footage and cutscenes, including some gameplay, and it looks like they're kind of officially confirming the release date of it. If you have been following this for a long time, it has been put off and put off and put off, and they've said it's coming this time, and they keep moving it. It seems now that it has hit that final version, and they are saying that it's
the
coming.
avatar of Lego games, dude.
Yeah, it seems like this is the date, April 5th, 2022, which is about a month, I guess maybe 2 months before
I'm
Celebration.
surprised they didn't delay until Celebration, yeah.
Yeah, something along those lines. But if you are interested in the game, there's a bunch of new videos that have a lot to do with the development of the game and a little bit of, I mean, obviously, like that would be behind the scenes, but it's kind of cool to see like this ultimately an ad, but they're telling you about how the whole process came to be, which is just really interesting to begin with. But so many new missions, so many hundreds of characters, they say, that are unlockable and playable over the course of this 9-movie saga. So get excited for Lego Star Wars coming. John, are you gonna play this?
I am 100% buying and playing this game.
Really?
Me too.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yes. I love these games. They don't stress me out for some reason. They seem reasonable enough for me to play without being too complex. I know I've read that they've made them a little more complex than the older versions, but they're a lot of fun. You don't take them too seriously. I don't know, like, you don't worry too much about new canon implications or anything. It's sort of like an homage more than anything. Revisiting, I like that aspect of it. It's going to feel very nostalgic and also have a lot of humor. So I'm all about this. I'm totally down, and I imagine in a few years I can introduce my son to it, sort of like his entry to Star Wars video gaming and that sort of stuff. So for someone who, as everyone knows at this point, I'm not really a big Star Wars gamer or gamer at all. Like I was just talking to my buddy Mike the other day about how the last game I really sat down and played was Arkham City, a Batman game in 2009. And here I am 13 years later.
I don't know why
and
you're acting like I don't like Batman.
This might be
That is
the
not
game
accurate.
that I get and play and enjoy. So I am all about this game, man. PS4. What up, PS4? Woo!
I don't know that I ever bought any of the Lego games like on systems, but I did buy it on iPhone when they released 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just as an app. I was like,
Yeah, you
oh
had said
shoot,
that.
like $15 or something. I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey,
so
do you
that
want
was
to
kinda cool.
do a shot after the podcast?
You know, it's really funny. You give James such a hard time about saying that you don't like books, and here you are, like, going on and on about how I don't like Batman, which is
I know you like Batman. I know you like
never been the issue. I stated that Spider-Man is a more popular character, which he is. He is.
I don't know.
Sorry, James.
Go
ahead.
No, I was going to ask
Lego
you actually
Star
though. What are your thoughts on Lego Star Wars? This particular game.
I'm super pumped about this game. I would admit I wasn't excited at first. I've played a couple here and there, but never really got into them. But this one is just really exciting because it is the entire Skywalker saga. And watching kind of the behind the scenes reel that they released for IGN Fan Fest, it just made me more excited with all the people that are involved. And just the way that they talk about it and all the details that they went into it. Like they had stressed that I think they said something along the lines of like 10,000 models, 20,000, different environments with 26,000 textures. Like that's insane. And the fact that they took the time to take the games that you played probably in 2007 or earlier with Star Wars Lego, and some people thought, oh, they're just updating the levels when they started from scratch. So they didn't just, update the levels. They redid them to the way that they would want them to do. And then the other cool thing is the way they talked about the combat, where they said that there's more kind of cool flippy moves like they do in the prequels, and there's like more force using in the lightsaber fights because it's really important when Star Wars to have really good lightsaber fights. And then just like I love how there's different modes that you can play in. Like they have the mumble mode, which is kind of like Sims where they don't really talk, which is reminiscent of early Star Wars games.
A whole podcast on the Sims language and how it was developed.
Oh, that's interesting. And then just like other modes like that, which are just really cool. I just feel like the people that make these games, just like with any video game, but I feel like with this one especially, it's just always that Star Wars element takes it to a new level with people because they grew up with it. So they want to do it justice and they want to do a good job and they care about these things. And I know from other different iterations of Lego Star Wars, like the new battle game they had come out, the time that they took to create these really cool ships and vehicles and creatures that aren't made out of Legos yet. So they had to go in and build these things that don't exist yet. And they were saying how the ships in the game, if you were to build them in real life, would be millions and millions and millions of pieces. Like the detail that went into this game, I feel like it was worth the wait, and I can't wait to play it.
How many playable characters? It's like 400, right? It's like crazy.
The article I saw just said hundreds of characters.
I think it was 300 last time I saw. 300 plus or something like that, which means it's like 304 usually when they say stuff like that.
I am probably not going to buy it, but you know what I would like to see out of it that could be really cool is if a fan put together each one of the episodes into like took all the best parts of the jokes, like all the best jokes chronologically to kind of make it like a supercut of each game, and it was about 10 minutes, which would put it at about 100 or put it at 90 minutes, be about an hour and a half. And like you could just sit and watch it like an animated movie and get all 9 chapters. And it was kind of like the best bits and kind of a rough playthrough really quickly of some of the main portions of the game. Like just cut from Hoth to this thing. Like you don't have to show the in-between stuff kind of thing.
I might have to do a playthrough online or something, become a Twitch streamer and Twitch stream some Lego.
Me too.
He's like, are you...
Don't
You guys like follow me at Lacey Giller and Twitch streamer. Just subscribe to my Twitch. No, but I don't know. I think it's cool and I'm excited because the Lego games have always been there and people like collections and things. So the fact that they're putting all of this work into all 9 games, it just seems like probably the most epic Lego game that could possibly ever exist. And
I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I know. And none of this is like announced or anything too, but it's such a big step for them that it almost feels like they're not going to create like a Solo or a Mandalorian version. Probably just be more downloadable content where they could add levels to this particular game or something along those lines. So that would be cool too. It just seems like it's the beginning of like the new Lego era, like the next gen Lego game. So we're here. A couple other things we wanted to talk about really quick, just to wrap up Resistance Report, is we're always wanting to remind you that if you go to Star Wars Newsnet and you want to check out like whether it's like a book or a comic or any sort of other media, we have the like spoiler breakdown of every one of those books, including we did a review recently on the investigation, the carnage that's happening in the High Republic, specifically the Trail of Shadows storyline that's going on. Issue 5 is out and it's done, but you can go back and get the gist of everything that happened, including photos and key scenes where we'll cut it out for you and kind of show you that particular piece of media so you can follow along with the story without actually having to buy all the comics or anything like that. So be sure to head over to Star Wars Newsnet. There's actually a link in the description of our YouTube video if you want to just go there now for that particular piece of High Republic content. And also this too, this is kind of a review. There's also some screenshots if you're thinking about buying it, but the new Clone Wars guide is a new book that's coming. That's sort of, it's kind of like the official guides that Star Wars does for the live action movies, but it's the Clone Wars version of it, and it kind of covers the entire series, which is really crazy. But it's got all these like behind the scenes looks and how they've developed the characters and stuff. Like I said, the link is in the description of this video on YouTube, and possibly even on the streaming on the podcast, on your podcast app. I don't know if the show notes go in there or not, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But you might be able to get there. But head over to Star Wars Newsnet where you can find that and take a look at the Clone Wars guide, which is coming out soon. So that's everything for Resistance Report this week. Lacey, what are we doing next?
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race.
Oh, yeah.
So there are lots of ways you can support us. You can like this video, comment, subscribe, follow us on all the audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review if you get a chance. It really means a lot to us and gets our show out there. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN or on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. If you want more than 2 episodes a week, including a huge community that has come together, which is really nice. Yeah. And exclusive videos and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, that's all. You get access to the page and you get to be a part of the community with us, talk some Star Wars, get access to all the videos and cool stuff on the page, including live streams. But as you go up in the ranks, there's different ranks you can become. You get different perks, from mailings to Discord access to merchandise. Really cool stuff. So definitely head over there. This is the part of the show where we let those generals and spice runners, our 2 top tiers, be a part of the show. So before that happens, I want to say thank you to those people. So thank you to our generals: Carmelo, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Nathan Shank, Dani, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath. Hello, Matt. Double C Chris White, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you guys so much. And then our Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelnar, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, Thomas Hennessy, and Andrew Staley. Thank you guys so much for keeping it spicy as our Spice Runners.
Hey.
So this week, I'm super excited. We have a new general, Chibigon Dani. I love Dani. She's wonderful. And she gets to be a part of the episode today. I'm just like, I'm giddy with excitement about this pod race. All right. So Dani, your question was, what Star Wars item that you own do you cherish the most / means the most to you? It could be anything you have pertaining to Star Wars. So even an old ticket stub, for example. And if you are willing to share, how did you obtain it? So Dani, take it away.
Hi, TRB. Thank you so much for your question. After giving it a quick thought, my mind and heart automatically went to my R2D2 from Sphero. So this little droid, I actually bought it with my first paycheck. So it not only like brings a pride and joy, but this guy started off my Star Wars collection. And the other thing is that both my dad and I often discuss that we wanted to build a life-size Ardo unit. And unfortunately, he passed away and we have to put a pause to that dream. But whenever I see, this R2, I am reminded that, anytime I could go back and complete that dream. So hope lives.
Awesome job, Dani. You did a great, great job. I love your Chewbacca. John, what did you think of her answer?
That was emotional. So, yeah, that might be the most emotional pod race we've had. So, great job, Dani. I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's probably very personal for you, but also very feel good because you have those memories with your dad. And that's a huge part of being a Star Wars fan that not a lot of people talk about anymore is how it bonds families and you get to make memories via this franchise and stuff like that. And really happy to hear that you and your dad were able to have that together. And who knows, maybe you will get a shot to build your own R2 one day. I really hope you do, because I think that would be an amazing way for you to sort of achieve that sort of dream that you had with your dad. But what a way to debut on a pod race. I don't know how you're going to top that next time, but I look forward to it anyway, Dani. Yeah, I mean, we've hung out several times now. You've been such a great supporter of ours. I am honored that you have sort of chosen to be a part of our community, and it means a great deal. So having fans like you around, especially at this level, and to be a part of the show now and stuff like that really means a lot. You're the best, and I'll see you in the chats and stuff, and hopefully it's Celebration. James?
Yeah. No, I agree with John that does kind of seem like something that we've kind of forgotten is like the bonding of like specific generations. Especially now, like when we sort of need it because the sequels are doing what they're doing. It's sometimes we throw back to that whole like, yeah, but remember when everybody hated the sequels and then it's kind of come around kind of thing. And actually, it reminded me very specifically of someone, a friend of mine from the music industry that I asked specifically like, hey, do you want to be on the Mando Fan Show? And it didn't work out, but I asked him if he was really into Star Wars because he loves movies and all this. And he said, I mean, I kind of like the old ones and stuff, but like I really did not like those prequels. But it's interesting because now my kids want to watch the prequels. And I feel like now that they're laughing and having a good time with those characters, I've been kind of forced to re-look at them with different eyes. Cool. And he said he's kind of come around on them. So, and that was about as much as like into Star Wars as he was, which is why he didn't really particularly want to do like Mando Fan Show or anything like that. But it was a good story to hear. And I was like, man, just keep on keeping on. Star Wars is great, man. We kind of had that conversation. So it kind of reminded me of that conversation I had with him when you said all that stuff, Dani. So, but great choice. Good reason. Very special, and that's perfect. So thanks for being in general, and see you next time. See you around.
Dani, your answer was absolutely perfect. I'm super close with my dad as well, so this one definitely hit me hard. I love that you've connected Star Wars with not just something that you enjoy to escape with, but also as part of your family. Family is a huge part of Star Wars. I think one of my favorite episodes here for TRB was our Found Family episode, and just talking about getting that connection through other people and through your own family and stuff. So I'm so glad that you did have that. And I really hope you do get to build an R2. I know I want to build a full-size one, but I have the kit that's still coming that is like a mini-size one. So we'll see how that works out, because I don't even know that my birthday switches days, so let's see how good I am at building things. Anyway, you're awesome, Dani. You're the best. Can't wait to see you at Celebration. And now we're going to head to John with some questions from the community.
That's right. It is time. It is back-to-back weeks. So thanks to everybody for submitting questions to hashtag Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
You can submit questions to our show anytime. on Twitter using the hashtag AskTheResistance. Our patrons sometimes send in questions. You can email us at resistancebroadcast@gmail.com, Instagram, wherever. We'll pick them up. But if you are on Twitter, use the hashtag, even when we're not calling for them, and we'll be able to find them that way. So thanks. We appreciate that. So we have a few here. The first one to get the engines warmed up, our buddy Stephen Bowman. What's up, Stephen? That's Stephen A. Bowman. This is a quick one for all of us. He said, what Star Wars moments are you, or particular film or series, are you most excited to share with your kids when they grow older? So now that we all have kids, we can answer these collectively. Welcome to the
What a
party,
crazy
Lacey.
world.
Yeah. So, Lacey, why don't we start with you as the newest member to the TRB Parenthood? What do you think?
Probably two. I have two. Rey catching the lightsaber, because that wasn't around when I was little, so I'm excited that my daughter gets to experience that potentially as her first Star Wars. I was talking with my husband about it, and I was like, oh, I guess I should start with the original trilogy, and he was like, no, start with the new trilogy, because they're newer. Yeah, so it's interesting. But anyway, and then the other one would probably be Mandalorian with Grogu, because that's such a little kid thing, and I feel like despite all the craziness of the Mandalorian, just those little Grogu moments are something that a little kid would connect with really well.
Nice. Good picks. James?
It's kind of funny. Like, I think a lot of people, and John, if you're going to say this, you might say this, but the whole, like, Luke, I am your father thing, I think, like, there's almost like this, and you're expecting someone to have, like, a moment or something, and I'm like, that's probably the biggest, like, moment in all of Star Wars, and I don't know that they're gonna have that. So all the moments that I think about are these, like, subtle moments that are probably just going on in his head. So I think less about, like, specific moments than I do about when I really get this feeling, like, if he actually really likes it. You know what I mean? Like, now he's playing, and so anytime he ever comes up to me and asks the question, like, let me ask you this, like, what was Luke doing at the, it's like, I'm gonna feel like he really cares. That's gonna be the moment for me. But if I did have to pick a moment that I could be, like, if there was an audible, like, wow, that was really awesome, is if we just finished Return of the Jedi and saw the end of, like, then perhaps she will, no, like, the whole, like, thing, and his whole speech at the end, like, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. If there was, like, a physical, like, look on his face or something, that would be pretty awesome. I think that would be, like, the big one for me.
Yeah, I thought about the "No, I am your father," that just massive reveal, because I think that's something you still can protect from kids today, because I don't think 5 and 6 year olds are talking about, like, The Empire Strikes Back. But I think I would pick, I've been getting very old school nostalgia about A New Hope lately for some reason. I don't know why. So I think the moment I would love to see him soak in is when Luke, like, believes in himself when he's left as the last one to take out the Death Star, and Obi-Wan's telling him, trust your instincts, you can do this, blah blah blah, and Han coming back and making right and helping him out, the Yahoo, and they blow it up, and then they celebrate at the end. I think I would like to see him experience that whole final 7-8 minutes of the movie there, and see if that wants him, like, after it ends, like, what's next. If he says that, like, I want to see what's next. I think that would be really cool, because that's sort of replicating how people probably felt and kids felt when they saw that first Star Wars movie. So I think I'd go with that as that moment. But all right, we have a few more questions. Lacey, we're gonna toss this one your way. Our pal Hondo Supply.
Hey,
at Hondo Supply, just grabbing that handle. Good job. He said, some fans keep commenting we need a bigger universe and the interconnected stories just made the world too small. What is an era or storyline you think could be explored with all new characters not connected to the Skywalker storyline and still make for a compelling sell?
So for me, I definitely would want past the Skywalker saga, like in the future. I know the kind of first thing people jump to is prequel before anything happened, but I feel like with prequels, you still kind of have that feeling of, like, how does this lead into X? Whereas once something's ended and a new thing starts, you don't have that feeling as the same way. So I would probably say past the Skywalker saga and the future somewhere else. But I do want to say that the interconnectivity stuff, it does make the galaxy seem small, but I think that there's also a bigger message there of no matter what you choose to do yourself, like the choices you make affect others, even if they're not directly connected to you. They might be one or two people away. And I think that happens a lot with Star Wars where, yeah, obviously there's one family that's causing a lot of havoc in the universe, and I get that. But I think a lot of the characters, the connection between them also shows you that your choices matter and the things that you decide to do matter, whether you're a part of that main character line or not. And I like that about Star Wars because that's how the world we live in now. I think everybody makes choices and they don't realize all the other people they might impact with those choices.
Yeah, nice. All right, James, you're up next. This one's from Scott of Geek at Old Geek Scott. How old are you, Scott? Just putting that out there, just admitting that you're old.
Hey, Scott.
Do you think the Ahsoka series is where we'll finally get a Kevin Kiner score in live action? Probably leaning on all these Rebel returns.
Yeah.
To that show.
I'm going to say no. I think I kind of understand where that's coming from. Like Ahsoka as the character has kind of been scored the most, almost kind of like John Williams saying, of course I'm coming back because I wrote the thing for Rey and I'm going to continue to, write for Rey kind of thing. So like if Ahsoka's main stories were being told in the Clone Wars, which was done by him, and in Rebels, which was done by him, it kind of seems logical. But to be honest with you, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to have somebody come in, and at this point, who knows? It might even still be Ludwig. Like he might even do what he did with Book of Boba Fett in the sense that like set the tone, set the score as the main song kind of thing. Hey, maybe not after that. It's like Ahsoka, 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 Ahsoka. But I mean, I get it. I don't know. I'm not the biggest like Kevin Kiner fan. Like I think his stuff is good, but I'm not like he needs to be the one to do this. You know what I mean? I think there are plenty of other composers that could come in and do a particularly good job. And I don't necessarily think like he's owed it by any means, and they've cut that stuff off. Like he didn't, I don't know. They've had other people score for Ahsoka already in live action a couple times, twice now. So I don't know. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to say no, probably not. And he'll probably just stick with live action stuff. Or sorry, animation.
Yeah. All right. Last question here. I'll grab this one. Has Aslam at has_Aslam. What's up, buddy? He said, Kenobi being the most anticipated show in Star Wars, the pressure is on the production crew to make this one special. Do you think that the show will cause even greater rifts in the Star Wars fandom, or could it start the healing? I don't think this will cause greater rifts in the fandom unless they do something really outrageous, which I don't think they will. I think they're going to play the Kenobi series pretty conservatively in terms of what they do, and they're going to give fans what they want, so to speak, or what they maybe more expect than the twist on Boba Fett we sort of got as sort of a character. I don't think we're going to get some sort of weird version of Obi-Wan or anything like that. You're going to get your Vader, and there's going to be a lot of Empire, little Luke, little Leia, some Qui-Gon. It's going to be I think it's going to be one of those like, man, that felt really good. So that's the hope.
He gets modded by like Tiger Bear or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, right. It's all this techno music and he's bobbing his head to it as he's getting his new arm. Yeah, so and the healing thing, like again, I really think that is such a social media thing. I don't think like Star Wars fans like we're gonna head to Celebration in a few months, and that's when you really experience. I'm not saying everybody's going, but that's when you really experience Star Wars fans. You see a mother and a daughter, or a father and a son, or a family of 4 all dressed up as Jedi and having fun. And that's really what it is. It's not people yelling about, characters should have done this or that on social media and people telling people how they should feel. I think, we look at the rift. To me, it's a social media thing. People call it Star Wars Twitter. I don't believe in that. I think it's just people on Twitter who like Star Wars who find each other. So I don't think that healing is needed. Look at The Mandalorian. Everyone seemed to really like that, and there were still, issues with people online. So I think that's more of a loud-voiced but small thing that's happening on the internet more than anything. So I think Kenobi will be good, and hopefully people agree. So if the show's great, people will like it because everyone's been rooting for this show. So as long as people, don't have the expectation too high that nothing can live up to it, I think we'll be all right. So that's my answer on that. But that is it. Takes us to the end of the show. We're right up on an hour, like butter. Thanks you to everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Make sure you subscribe on all of your platforms, like Lacey put perfectly before. And of course, thank you to everybody who got us over the milestone of 7,500 subscribers, which I think that was our fastest 500 climb, because it wasn't too long ago we were thanking people for 7,000. So thank you to everybody who has joined us on our channel, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. We appreciate that very much. Let's march on to 8,000, and way down the road, maybe 10,000. But thank you to everybody for that. Speaking of Star Wars Newsnet, head there every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You could find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing and editing at Star Wars Newsnet, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We just did an episode on Speed, and our next one, I'm not joking, is Batman Begins. So look forward to that.
Isn't your podcast nostalgic?
Yeah, that movie's 17 years old.
I wouldn't call it nostalgic. Okay, go ahead, James.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, and in real life laughing at pictures of Thundercat in his saw arm.
Right on. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, and I just want everyone to know, at this current point, Spider-Man is winning as the best superhero, but Dark Knight is winning as the best movie.
So I win. I'm like, I don't know, it's
win.
tough. Like in some cases, some people say it this way, some cases, some people say that way.
I find that super interesting that it's not both. It's one, the character's better, but then the movie is better. Love that.
Because I think you chose the wrong movie, and recently
should have chosen Spider-Man 3, probably.
Yeah. Well, not Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home, and
but I don't think that's comparable though.
Animated.
I wanted Spider-Man 2 because that's kind of like around when they came out,
Yeah.
And it's hard to put No Way Home against anything because obviously there's like all the Spider-Men in there, so it's like
hype right now.
Yeah.
People walk out of the movie and they're like, "So that was the best superhero movie that's ever existed ever." You know what I mean? It's like,
and you're like,
let's wait a year.
And so we'll be back on Thursday with another episode where we're actually going to debate Spider-Man versus Batman. So no, I'm just kidding. We're doing the State of Star Wars Winter Edition. So I know a lot of you out there like when we do those, so it's time for another one. But enjoy your weeks. It will be March, so enjoy the beginning of March. Hopefully things start warming up a bit. We know that's not going to happen. But we'll see you Thursday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.